Hello, everyone. Welcome to the home for anime. Welcome to Falling Starcatcher channel, the one that I founded. My name's Cameron, and I'm here with my good friend and mentor, Mary. Mary, how are you?
Oh, mentor.
I learned
I
so
don't.
much from you, like just following your page. You have a wealth of anime knowledge, and I'm always happy to get more of it.
I appreciate that. I've been told that, but I feel like I'm just like the average anime, like you know, nerd online, just posting about stuff, whatever. I usually there's no rhyme or reason to my posts on IG is probably where I'm most active, and yeah, it's just like me posting a lot of what I like, and I'm glad that if you find something that you like or you're learning something from it, like okay, cool. um,
Exactly.
I'm not sure if I'm worthy of the title of mentor, but I'm here for everyone that enjoys anime and all its forms, and see something new.
Well, on top of that, but I also like you post news and really cool things that you do. I didn't know until I saw one of your posts that was it the singer or the main composer for Automata? I did not know that was a black woman.
Oh, oh yeah. I'm gonna gas her up right now if you'll allow me to. Yeah, that's my friend Unique Nicole. She is even before Near, she's been singing. I feel like she's been singing most of her life in Japan, and that's where she currently is. And she's just an amazing like artist, and her voice is very unique. And just like when I found out that she was doing that particular game, I was like, girl, do you know what you're getting into? This is big, because that the first game was such a cult classic, and the music was something that totally drew me into it. And then the Yoko Taro's story and the craziness of that. And I was really curious to hear like how her vocals would be used in that particular in the next game. And it was just kind of amazing to know that she wrote and she wrote and sang the ending theme song Way to the World. And hearing it was like, okay, this is different from like the previous game, but it's so great. And then some of the other tracks that she's in, most notably the one that she does with the original singer Emmy, in the game where they're in like the opera setting and they're fighting that big the singer, the opera singer, and like hearing her voice, I was like, that shit's crazy. So props to her. I give her flowers again. Like people out here doing making history, like really making legacy like stuff. That's just amazing.
So, Mary, you're probably thinking, why did I do this in the order that I'm doing it because of what we're talking about?
Mhm,
Well, I wanted to start with Black Excellence, which is you and I, and then we
mhm,
continue with Black Excellence, but we mix it with video games. And
mhm.
then we talk about what we're talking about today, which is an anime based on a video game, Dot Hack Sign. Do you see how everything just comes together, Mary?
Hey, I'm cool. Yeah,
I'm a genius. I don't know how I keep
just
doing
crafting
this.
it.
But yes, so I asked you a few months ago, I was like, if you could talk about any anime at length, what would it be? You gave me a list,
Mhm,
and the one that we were talking about, Dot Hack Sign, was something I saw that there was a DVD available at Target,
mhm,
and I saw that there was no place to stream it, and I'm like, this looks I like the way that their faces look, and it makes me want to watch this. And
mhm.
so I was very excited when you said that. So I ordered it, I watched it, and Mary, I have thoughts. But what
Go ahead.
is what is dot hack sign, Mary? Could you tell me that?
Oh gosh, it is a big and maybe it's my nostalgia, but for me, I feel like it's a huge IP. But it's all centered around uh an online world called an online game, an MMO called The World. And um and what we're talking about tonight, we'll go into everything else, but the anime specifically, the first anime, it introduces the viewer to this MMO called The World and everybody in it, and focuses on a particular character, a very introverted, like quiet character who's like a was it Wave Master, I think they said in the name.
Yeah, he's a
Like
wave
Wave
master.
and named Tsukasa, who uses this game. I'm assuming to for escapism, as we all do at some level for video games. And the ish in a couple layers of this show is that he gets something happens and can no longer log out of the game. He can't do it, and he has no reason, no understanding as to why. And at the same time as this is happening, he meets a character that is when you see them, it obviously looks very like not from the game or like very like outside of the bounds of the game. And this
Mhm.
character leads um Tsukasa to um this area where he sees this girl who's a little girl who's asleep and she's not waking, and it's just like everything's so mysterious. And then we spend the show really trying to figure out who really is Tsukasa, not only in the game but outside of the game in the real world. What are the components as to why this person cannot wake up, and also what is the mystery of the world, because we don't know much about that either. And at the same time as we're solving the mystery of Tsukasa, we're solving the mystery of what's the key of the toilet, what's this world, what's going on, who's a little girl. So it's a I don't say it's really actiony based, even though there's some action. It's more of a mystery, I would say. But yeah, that's essentially what dot hack that is. And then, as I said, it became this big IP at the same time as they were doing the show. There was video games coming out, really giving the sense that it was a real MMO when it was really a fake MMO that when I played it, I was still in high school and I felt like I was playing MMO when I wasn't. But it kind of gives you that feeling, and you can, you know, unsolve the mystery, basically. So, or solve the mystery, not unsolve the mystery. So, but yeah, it's that's essentially, I think, my long-winded answer of it.
Excuse me. Well, I think that is very accurate. I would say that's
Mhm.
103% accurate, actually. I always say better to have more detail than less.
Mhm.
Um, but I would be perfectly honest with you. You're absolutely correct. When I looked at this anime, when I looked at the premise, the first thing that came to my mind, and this is just because this was what was on TV when I was a kid, was Sword Art Online. And I was just thinking, well, I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of this Sword Art Online. I don't know. I didn't really want an action kick, but I knew that this was video game centric. But I just really like early 2000s to mid 2000s anime, so I was hoping that it was going to be something different. And this show is very exciting, but you're right, there's very little action. What makes this show exciting is equal parts the mystery and the interpersonal connections that the show has, because in trying to solve the mystery, we get all of these different characters who interact with each other in an increasing capacity. And there's this depth to them finding out more about each other offline while never well, some of them do meet each other offline, but learning more about each other in an effort to learn more about
Mhm.
Sukasa. And so I don't know how exactly to sell that that is actually really exciting, but it just really makes for a it makes for a compelling story. And maybe that's what it is, because I feel like if you have something like this, you have an anime that is, I would dare say, quiet. Despite everything that goes on, I feel like it's a quiet anime. It's one of those examples of you can have either a basic or a wild premise or both, but it's only once you evoke a certain level of empathy that the work becomes impactful.
Mhm.
And you are spending this time, especially this first half of, what is this, 26 episodes,
Hmm.
You're thinking these episodes feel disjointed. One doesn't really lead into the other well. And it kind of makes you think, well, how much time has passed? And you're confused. But then you get to the second half, and everything that happened in the first half really makes sense because it's like High School Musical. We're all in this together, which is it's crazy because it lays the groundwork so effortlessly. Everything that I kind of thought was slow and maybe a bit boring was actually very intentional pacing and placement of dialogue, of scenes. And really, I don't have many examples of things to liken this to.
Yeah, no, I think what you said is nail on the head. So this show really it the storyline unfolds gradually and slowly. And I had gotten a friend to start watching it recently, and they noted to me, oh, it's kind of slow. And when I watched it as a high schooler, I think I I I feel like at that time I was I was really heavy into reading like novels, and I'd be reading so many things more than I do now, but it never bothered me because it's so story driven, and it's driven the show really relies on the characters. So most of the what we find out, and the buildup is because of the conversations between the characters. We learn about them through conversations. We learn about which is genius in the way that they do it, because a lot of it is about information sharing on, you know, oh, did you hear about this? And sharing of rumors, and they talk about the message boards and that type of interaction. And all of that builds over time in the show to give you, this story. And then at the same time, it's like, as the it's very layered also, because with this type of communication you'll get like you often talk about, oh, there's a rumor, and that plays into the storyline in such like a core component, because as a viewer we're told different things or we hear different things, and a lot of times in the show, at least what I found, they're not true, or we're being misled. It's not like totally accurate, which is what would happen. We're online, and I feel like it's giving you this sense of what it's like to be like within these communities online of MMOs. And for me, I never had that because I was like a junior. No, yeah, I was a junior in high school, so I didn't have enough money to like buy a subscription to. I think like some of the games out at the time were like Fantasy Star, Ultima, things like that, and the first Final Fantasy Online, that one, I think it was what 11,
11,
and
yeah.
yeah, so those were the games kind of going on at that time, and it's like people that played those kind of they could relate to hack, and then for me it was like it was all story, just like these conversations. And watching it again, like when we decided we were going to talk about this, I also like went through the show again as an adult, and I'm like, yeah, the pacing is a bit slow, but it's definitely meant to be that way. And then, as you said, you get to like maybe halfway through, I think it's like after episode 10 or something, and it starts to pick up. You understand key things about the main character in the real life, and kind of how things tie together. So it's it didn't need to have that much action. And then I will say this, like, I think for those people that may have wanted action, it was kind of good that the games were coming out at the same time as the show, because then you have that action, also deep story lore in the game as well. Because I
Hmm.
would sit in my basement and like dungeon crawl like constantly in that first game. Like I was like in it. So it was a good balance. I think just really fascinating when you think about it, and the lore of the game, of this entire like the world.
And I actually did, God, I can't believe I'm getting sick. I actually did a little bit of research because I liked this anime so much that I wanted to find, I was like, what else dot hack is there? And in doing so, there were two things that happened. One, I realized that this is actually a a prequel to the entire Dot Hack franchise,
Yep. Yep.
which which they set up in the last couple of episodes. And I
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, that okay, great. So now I have to play these games. I go on PlayStation Network. They're like, "Oh no, you only get GU." I think that's what it was.
Yeah, yeah. The newer franchise, you can only play that, unfortunately, which sucks because I'm dying for a remake of the first four games because that they're just it's good. It's like repetitive, but it's so good. Like once you get in there and you get in that story, also music and then there's the anime within that. So yeah, yeah, unfortunately.
And we are getting a new one. So that might end up being my first.
Yeah, yeah, the announcement of of a new project. That's crazy. Like
Yeah.
after all this time, I hope they again like please remaster the originals, please.
But the second thing that I learned is that a lot of people do not like this show. Like they really don't. And you do you use my anime list?
I use it occasionally. I don't it's a powerful tool for sure, and I do use it I think for more or less to like see who did what and kind of get a sense of um which studios had what stuff, but yeah.
So I was just checking it. I do it to kind of keep track of things. Like, when you I've been podcasting for 5 years. I got to make sure I
Mhm.
don't repeat stuff. I mean, I have
Mhm.
spreadsheets, but I always like to look back and be like, oh, do I still feel this way? And there's this thing that they have, and I think I've mentioned this on here before, but it happened again, which is why I'm doing it. They have this feature where it'll say, uh, you hated it, they loved it, and they hated it, you loved it. And Dot Hack's sign was they hated it, you loved it. And I'm reading the reviews, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's just so freaking slow. It's just so boring. And I'm like, are we watching the same thing? I mean, mind you, this is coming from someone whose comfort as a child was coming home after school and watching General Hospital. So maybe this show is made for people like me who appreciate the steady, the slow, like because you really it's one of those things where you have to really pay attention. There were times where I said this might be a very minute detail, but let me rewind this. There were so many times that I rewinded just 10 seconds back to make sure that I caught something.
Oh, same.
And I'm so glad that I did because it made things later on make sense. Like when I say that it is intentional, everything that these people say, nothing is inconsequential. And that makes this such a powerful anime. And I just feel bad because I feel like part of it's kind of an attention span thing and a in a realm where we usually have 13, 12 episode anime that are kind of they either cover an arc of a manga or they're beginning to end. That gratification, that instant gratification, is nowhere to be found. And really, unfortunately, even when you get to the last episode, which is one of my only real gripes with it, it feels very much like all of that slowness, that simmering, they just blitzed it. Like they slow roasted the chicken and then they kind of threw it on a taco and they yeeted it out of the fucking kitchen. Because that last 3 minutes of the 26 episode run really had me concerned. And I'm so glad you messaged me earlier asking me if I saw the two OVAs that came after. And I'm so glad that I did because if I hadn't, then that would have sullied the experience of the entire anime. So that
Yeah.
is that is the caveat to appreciating Dot Hack. The first, and I had the same problem with Monster. You go through the entire
Yeah.
anime, and then you get to the last two episodes, and something just and turns it from a 10 to a 9, In this case, a 10 to an 8. But then you get the OVAs, which you don't get in Monster because that's told from beginning to end. And it brings it up to a 9 because you say, okay, all right, I get it. It makes sense. This is fine. I understand.
Yeah, yeah.
But that last, just the last sentence alone just made me kind of do like, what? No. So that is the one thing that I have to say about the hack sign is that you have to watch the OVAs to get the full experience
Yeah.
because they're basically like epilogues,
Yeah, they are, yeah.
and they are the most necessary epilogues I have ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
I say this about certain anime. I was fine with. Have you seen Violet Evergarden?
Yes, 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 yes.
I was fine with where Violet Evergarden ended. I didn't need Violet Evergarden the movie. I love Violet Evergarden the
hmm
movie, but I
hmm
didn't need it. I needed this continuation. I
Yeah,
needed
yeah.
those last two episodes. Just to Violet Evergarden is the best anime of all time. Just throwing that out there. Um, it's something that if you know, you know. I talk about it all the time. But
Yeah.
no, this is a phenomenal, phenomenal anime, and I will say what I like is that I really didn't like Tsukasa at first.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was just like, what a brat,
hmm
because he's. I'm saying he, but we.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, no, he's I mean, he's very they go out, I mean, I understand it, but yeah, he's those first couple episodes, he's just very like says the same thing. Selfish, you're selfish, and then just is very standoffish and just like won't listen at all. And it's just kind of and then some of the things he does, it's just it is quite annoying. But then like at the same time, I feel like even like just recently watching it again, I feel like, yeah, I kind of get it. Um all that like trauma that he's carrying and the idea, I mean, a core component of the show is like figuring out, who you are and how to manage these feelings that you have. um it's what is the word I want to use? Like, I get it, and I don't want to say I like saw myself in Tsukasa because I don't think that was the case, but I like certain elements of it. Yeah, because I'm also very introverted and I spent a lot of time. I mean, I didn't have as much trauma as him in some in like the real world type stuff, but like, yeah, I spent a lot of time in my basement and like didn't talk to many people because all I needed was my anime and video games and that and understanding how to communicate with others. um and understanding that, hey, there are people here, like these people asking questions aren't trying to get in your business, they are genuinely worried about you, type stuff. So, but yeah, he was annoying in the first couple episodes. Just
yeah, gave me major Shinji Ikari vibes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That was the
yeah.
first thing that I thought of. But what separates the two is, and this is where the character is. This is where other characters come in handy and make the show more
hmm
rich. We have a succession of characters who help Tsukasa to open up more. So it starts with Mimiru because the entire time I'm thinking, why does everyone care about this guy? None of them know him before this, before Mimiru finds him in the cave. But it starts with Mimiru, and then we get Bear, who very much lives up to his name. And then we have Subaru. And each time I'm thinking, okay, it's not that he's latching on to this person, but I'm noticing that in certain areas of the story, this person is taking more of an interest in him, but then they kind of take a back seat, but the interest is still there. And then I
hmm
kind of realized, oh, that's kind of how real interpersonal relationships work. These are people who yes, are worried about a person, which is nice. It gives you a bit of hope for humanity, even though this was in 2002. Um, but also, it's just how people work. You know, they care about people. Their interests are peaked at certain points. But one thing that did trip me out is they were so invested that they were looking into Sukasa offline if they could. And I feel like I was just kind of like, damn, this is the predating of doxing online.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's that. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean,
Because in a minute, people.
they're just spreading this man's business.
Yeah. They really did. They really did look at Bear really went in there and was like, oh, you know, like my question was always like, wow, it seems like so fast, like that he's already trying to find out everything they can on this person in real life. But if this happened now, like, yeah, we would already have all the information, like same day, like it is predates doxing. It's and yeah, this was like what 2002?
2002.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of like um what's the word? Oh, my brain is not braining. Like foreshadowing of stuff now, like even with tech and like Morgana and like AI and um kind of technology in general.
Oh my
Technology,
god.
right? We can go down that hole with this show too, because it does. Like I said, this show is layered. There's so many layers. Um,
I'm
Sword Art Online, like that's what when I tell people that that watch Sword Art, I'm like, you really need to watch Dot Hack, even though yes, it can be slow, but it's it's just so deep. It just really like dives in. Um, yeah.
yeah, it's like if you're looking for a rich narrative, that's where you go for it. You go to dot hack and you will receive. Um what was I going to say? You brought up AI and you brought up Morgana and I'm I love Maha. Uh, I could never figure out if they were pronouncing the C or the H. It seemed like they were doing both,
Yeah.
but I love that cat. I mean, you and I, we're both cat people, so
Hmm.
I don't know if you
Hmm.
feel the same way, but I was like, it's a cat in a little hat and she's floating. I love it.
I know, me too. Like, oh, this character, and then the way that you meet them, like in the beginning of the show, I'm like, oh, of course, yeah, that was me. I totally just followed this cat around with this hat, and yeah, no, whatever. Like, of course.
But no, I'm actually very glad that you brought up AI because I it's there. It's ever present, but it just now is hitting me how big AI is in that show. Like that is the epitome of AI gaining sentience in a way that affects children. Like that is actually like literally, oh my god.
Right? Like and this is
Oh
again
my god.
2002, and we're talking about an AI that spoilers, I guess, a bit, but like interacting with a child, manipulating a child,
Yes.
like unaware. And it's kind of like, you know, the signs are there, but it's crazy. We were having conversations about that back then, like in anime, in this anime. And of course, like at the time you think, oh, this is just fantasy. But no, we're in that now. We're experiencing that now,
Oh my
unfortunately.
gosh. Wow. Okay, yeah, that brought it up a couple of points. Mary,
Yep.
you saved dot hack. Not that
that
it
I,
not that it needed saving.
No, and this is in, this crosses over in the games and crosses over, in the other different aspects of the franchise. Like there's like AI is the very core component for this autonomy. It's very core to the series, to the IP, and how it relates to gaming. I guess in a sense of the overarching setting is of the world, but like even outside in the real world, and once you dive in more into the games and you really uh start learning more of the world and like on the outside too of like everything that's happened even in GU like you know that which takes place after the years after the first four games. um it's like also that whole thing of repetition. Like we never learn from our mistakes. We're not ever learning from our mistakes. I mean, the same can be said with Sword Art too. Like how, like after that first season or that first thing, I'm like, I wouldn't mess with any of that again. But here we are. Um, but yeah, it's the same. It's so very core component. Has been with us for so long and so much storytelling, and and it's crazy how you think back onto what we're seeing in these early shows and to what contrasting to what we're seeing in real life. It's crazy.
Wow, so this is one of those story was ahead of its time things.
And whether like I don't even know, like we watch movies about AI taking over. Oh, we got Terminator. We got there's so many things warning us, and yet we keep doing these things. But leading, but I think that hack was very interesting in that sense of bringing up these subjects of gaming, AI, um, like how we're making these interpersonal relationships and like communication, and also the dangers of technology itself, um and the consequences of people's actions. I mean, this all started with, I mean, there's not one place it started, but like for the world, and the creator trying to do this out of love, creating something as a show of love.
Hmm.
And then there's that whole topic of what was he right in doing what he did, um and in the way that he did it, and the like it's just so interesting, and we could probably go deeper and deeper.
Oh, for sure. There is one other thing that this show brought to my attention, and it was something that I noticed during the pandemic, but it never occurred to me, and maybe this is just because I don't game online, so it never occurred to me that this was another way that this could be done. But there are so many people who are, saying, let's meet offline, or like, what are you doing offline? And there are characters like Krim who are like, I like only being this type of person, the type of person who I am being this leader. I like being that in the game, and I can separate real life from the game. Can you? And then there are some people who can't, like BT, who I don't like the reason behind her name. I actually don't really like BT that much, but that's fine. That's totally fine. Bacon tomato, because she whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I liked that they had they weren't all one dimensional, we're focused on Sukasa. They made it a point to show that they had their own lives and their own problems, and this was just something that they
Yeah.
added to what they were, because to them, and they say, we forgot that this is just a game because somebody is being affected by it. But we have people who have familial problems. We have people who don't have friends, people who have, I had to look up some of these people's backstories because they don't really go into them in the show. And they're actually kind of depressing, like very bleak. In the same breath that I say I don't care for BT as a person, as a character, the way that she's written, she has this one scene that told us everything about her, and also she's one of the only people that we actually get to see in the real world. I just noticed a lot of these people we don't ever see outside of the world.
Yeah.
I think the only three are Sukasa, BT, and some other one who I
Hmm.
won't talk about. But that's actually crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings interpersonal problem, not just interpersonal relationships, but like personal problems for each of these people into this gaming space. And some of these actually shocked me, especially I would say Bear and Krim were the ones that shocked me the most, and probably Sora, which he acted very much. He was in keeping with his character toward the end, if I'm being honest. But Bear and Krim, when I got to the parts about their specific personal lives, I was genuinely. I mean, Krim I thought was cool, but Bear, I was just like, oh my god, that is wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just shows that we have this crazy, awesome video game world, and we are, because this takes place in 2007 or past 2007, and the anime is made in 2002. So it's just
Mhm.
saying this
Yeah.
is this alternate future where technology advances so rapidly.
Hmm.
But there's just this, I don't know, it is just wild that they go through what it is that they go through, that it's that immersive, and that gaming at the end of the day is a form of escapism. And for some people, that escapism does not fully work, it still follows them. Their problems don't just go away because they're playing a video game. And
And that mirrors like real life. I mean, in
yeah.
any like, joining any type of online group, MMO. I'm thinking of like how I play Final Fantasy 14 now with friends, and you know, everybody has you meet people, and you don't know like what shit they're going through in real life or what they're doing, and but using that using this space, this world as a way, as a means to escape and be somebody else, or like be parts of the person that you want to be, that you can't necessarily be on the outside. And then with Bear too, it's like, well, I do like how the anime intertwined a lot of that, and then like to the point where characters even talk to other family members on the game, like in those early scenes with Bear, and he talking to his to son and or
Mm-hmm.
child, and like saying, them asking from, oh, is a mortgage on a something for a car or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, then they, talk about, well, ma, you and mom and da da da. And I'm like, wow, people, it's like that too, where people just be talking to their family members online. That's like the only way they converse. Or what did he say? He said, we talk more in here than we do on the outside, which is kind of crazy to me too. Like, if you both are in here on the inside, why aren't we doing stuff on the outside together too? Like it's a lot. It's a lot. And I like the way that this show kind of puts those scenes in there to make you to also ground you too, in a sense of like, hey, this is a game. Remember, there's a
Right.
lot happening while we're on these quests to search for these things. Realize that this is an actual game, or like subtle stuff like when Tsukasa says, hey, can you stay on? Or if you can't, like, because you have to go to bed. Like if you can't, then it's okay. Or like it's just interesting to me. I just like the way they crafted that in there. Um, and keeping it like, yeah, these are real people on at the end of the day. We're seeing we for the majority of the time that we're watching the show, we're looking at their online, avatars, is
Mm-hmm.
not what they look like in real life. So it's just interesting. Yeah.
And it's also fascinating because that really makes you think about how immersive the game has to be for that to be what we're so focused on is these characters to the point where when I see Bear, I can only see Bear, like his full legal name notwithstanding. I just see that man
Yep.
with the face paint or tattoo, whatever the heck that is. And I think that that is a testament too to how great the, no pun intended, world building of the world is. So they do a great job of walking this fine line of this is a game and these are real people playing the game, but also because our lead is Tsukasa and Tsukasa's consciousness is fully in the game, that is the part that makes you realize it's so immersive. Like it feels real because it is real to one character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, it is a game, but it's also real. So we have to make it real. And they do a great job of making it real because this is very much just something that you, it's crazy because this is something that you would find in a fantasy anime. But when you look at it from the scope of what this is, like there's a sci fi element, but if Tsukasa wasn't trapped in the game to the extent that he is, this would just be a, you could either call it a mystery drama slice of life, but it would not be far removed from what we have here.
No, I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually really funny saying this and talking about Tsukasa because I finished the OVAs a few nights ago, I think 2 or 3 nights ago. And then I started, I, have you ever seen The Amazing Digital Circus?
No.
So, have you ever read slash listened to I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream?
No.
Oh, it's just people trapped in a computer system by an AI. Very dark, and I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream. The Amazing Digital Circus is kind of like AI horror, but also it's really funny, but also very emotionally heart wrenching. But it's
Mhm.
these people who are stuck in this computer program, they have no way out, and there's this AI who is just a pair of dentures and a couple of eyeballs that is coming up with these adventures to satiate them and is like, they'll never want to leave me because it's too great in here. But that's, they're still upset that they are trapped in this space and they have no way to get out. So I finished watching Dot Hack and then I go into the Amazing Digital Circus and I'm like, oh God, I can't escape it.
Oh
It
man.
is
Yeah.
crazy. Also watch the Amazing Digital Circus, everybody. It is so good. It
Gotta
is
check that out.
ridiculous. It's on Netflix, but it's a YouTube series.
Okay.
And the lady who directed it also wrote it and composed the music, I think. I think her name is Gooseworks.
Hmm.
Gooseworks. Very awesome creator. So, Mary, I think you and I have both done a really good job. There's one thing that we both really wanted to talk about, and I think we were appropriate in saving it for
Hmm.
last.
Hmm.
Um, I'll just give my perspective first with
Okay.
a phrase. I was born to shake ass to the Dot Hack Sign soundtrack, but forced to sit my ass down. Holy
It's
shit.
one of the first things that I remember. Like when I think about that show and just the franchise, that's the one thing I remember. And like recording, like trying to, like I don't even think there had CDs back then for that, and like trying to find it online. Like I was, again, I'm aging myself. I was in high school when I was literally 1 year away from being a senior when this show came out. And I just remember using my time in at school in the library, probably. not doing what I needed to be doing, but like downloading music. Like it was this show, it was Bebop. I would be scouring the internet for uploads for the music so that I could save it and burn a CD and play it while I drive around my car. And like it was that serious. And like, you hear that opening and it's just like, okay, I'm pumped. Or like, I don't know, like I would say like my top titles would be Aura, the um what is it? Stray Child, like this the I don't know, it hits so hard. But that the composer, um she's she worked on the other hack games, but then she also worked on what's the other game? It's like an anime. Um she worked on the what was it? Xenosaga. Have you played the Xenosaga games?
I haven't, but I watched Demon Slayer.
Okay, well, yeah, she did Demon Slayer too, but Xenosaga. This game came out. It's not like the Xeno. What is the new Xeno games on the Nintendo
Xenoblade.
Switch? Yeah, Xenoblade. It's before that,
Hmm.
Xenosaga. I think she did 2 and 3. Soundtrack is amazing. That game itself, like the series of games, yeah, 3 of them, right? 3, yeah. Those games are amazing. You need to play those games.
Okay.
Xenosaga, for the PlayStation 2, they were all on PlayStation 2. I mean, amazing. One of my, I would say they're in my top 10 like list of favorite games, and then the predecessor, Xenogears, um, which also has another amazing soundtrack. Anyway, um, but Yuki Kajiura. She did Xenosaga 2 and 3, which like now that I think about this game, I'm like, okay, that makes sense because it's one of my favorite games, and it just slaps. Like it hits. There's just every song on the Dot Hack Sign OST, 10 out of 10. It's like, no, for me anyway.
And they do something in there that and maybe this is just because of how few anime I have
Mhm.
seen from. I say that my favorite era is the 2000s, but I haven't seen as much, I would say, adult oriented stuff from that time,
Mhm.
like PG
Mhm.
13 and up. I more
Mhm.
so watched all the things that, Fox Kids had
Yeah.
and Jetix, Cartoon Network, Toonami. But very rarely, and the only other thing that's coming to my mind right now is Aria the animation, where they actually have vocal tracks
Yes.
weaved into the OST. So you'll be halfway through the episode and you'll just hear these vocal themes. And in in Dot Hack, I am just picturing just a woman with her eyes rolled back with a black hood on, just like with an apple, and she's like this, and she's singing. It is a haunting.
Haunting.
It is
Yeah.
very haunting, and then it'll go from that to like like early Destiny's Child, where they like have all those
Yeah.
like harmonizing three voices in one, and I'm like, where am I?
Mhm.
What is this? Why is this so good?
It really sets the tone for the show, and like and it makes you, and it's like a balance for the because it's an anime, right? But then you also have the game, and the show is a game. The show is about being in this game. And so the music, I feel like it's so fitting because I do sometimes feel like I'm like, this is stuff that I would hear on a specific level in a game, like the soothing like strings on I think it is a Straight Child. I think that's the track, and it's just like do 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 do, and it's like, okay, I could see myself like walking around the world, and looking up at the sky, and like just walking and taking in that the nature of that level or that area in the game. Um and and I think it just balances really well with the show, and the fact that the show is so lore heavy too. So there's like, you know the music fits with the haunting nature of every of the themes in that show, and they just really nailed it. And I think it did cross over to Xenosaga because that's more of a spaced action, but it's so lore heavy as well, and a lot of religious things in there. And Xenosaga, again, can't recommend it enough. But the music's fitting for that as well. And yeah, I think I think that's also what I really liked about that hack was that I could still see myself if I was actually playing this game, the world. I could hear these tracks being played as like love as like areas, for different areas in the game, and it just works so well. Yeah.
They would have to shut up and take my money because I would just, you know, it's so, but you know, it's so great, Mary, about living in 2026.
Hmm.
The album, the OST is on Spotify.
It is. It's just crazy.
And
Like,
I downloaded it. I felt so bad listening to your story. I was like, when do I just out and say that it is on Spotify?
it
Because
is.
you just
We
told
need
me,
a
but
vinyl though. We absolutely need a vinyl. I would die for a vinyl of of that hack, honestly.
I
Um,
don't think it's too far out of the realm of possibility
I don't think so now.
because they are releasing a lot of vinyls for older anime, and one
Yep.
that really caught me off guard. I sent this to my friend Robert the other day. They're releasing a vinyl for Noir, like out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
I saw that. Yeah, I
No,
saw that.
like
Hmm.
Noir. Why
Yeah.
Noir?
Yeah. It's a lot. There's been so many, even from like the 80s. Like I recently purchased, not recently, but like within the last, like maybe was it last year or the year before, I purchased one for Space Avenger Cobra that came out, like a whole vinyl, which makes sense because if you've seen that show, it's very, very heavy. There's a lot of like Space Odyssey type game too. Well, like with him and being in space, but like it's just very jazzy and there's a lot going on there. And Goal 13. There's just like I love that we live in a time where now like a lot of these older shows are getting they're coming back to the forefront. Even they're getting their moment to shine, whether it be a new remake or like the albums coming out. Um or it's just really wonderful to see. And it's because back then it was really hard. Like, yeah, I was burning CDs and having to download stuff on the internet trying to find, any track possible. Um, because it was so hard to find anime and game soundtracks that had the full, the OST and the score and everything. So I also have ones for Xenogears and Xenosaga, like a whole two different vinyls for those. So yeah, I think we could there's a chance. I always have hope for things like this. Like, oh, especially with the new project coming out, maybe
Hmm.
make enough noise about it. But yeah, hey, like technology has in time, it took a while, but time has let us have these things.
Can you imagine if, with the release of the new game, for some odd reason, they decide someone, I think, I don't, was Bandai? No, Bandai Namco didn't have anything to do with this.
They Bandai
Did
released
they?
distributed. They
They
distributed half.
did.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I have that right. So, wouldn't it be just cosmic justice if they were like, we are going to take it into our own hands to release a Blu ray re release of Dot Hack so that Cameron and Mary can watch it in 1080p as opposed to 720 on their television?
Look, I'm hoping somebody like Animego or Discotech gets their hands on it. I know Discotech did a really good job on the Digimon stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
please, they've been going hard on a lot of the older um shows, whether it be anime or just like the US cartoons, like
Yeah. Like the
Blu-ray, these new releases, restoring them. So it's not out of, depending on licensing, honestly. I feel like it's never and resources, it's never not an option now. Like
right.
it's always a possibility.
I mean, they shocked the heck out of me. Discotech. I love Discotech so much. When they licensed Cyber 6,
Oh
I was
yeah.
just like, there's hope for humanity. There's always, because when I tell you that that was, I think, I was 2 or 3 when that one came out, but I got to see it on the TMS YouTube channel, and I was like, did, how did no one know about this? And I was asking people that I work with, even though I don't work in a space where many people care about animation, but they were like, "Son, we have no idea what you're talking about. This woman does not look familiar. Is that who is that boy? Why does he look like a neo-Nazi?" I'm like, "Because he is." Oh.
It's a Canadian gem. Like it's a Canadian um right. I think it aired in Canada. It did. I don't think we ever had a US it aired on US television, but I'm glad that they're bringing these shows back and like it looks good.
Mhm.
And the noise that people were like, oh my god, like this, some people said, oh, this was a fever dream, I thought I saw this, and like I never heard about it again, and now it's back. um and yeah, like renewed interest, and it's nice, like now more people are aware. And um these were the types of shows that we were placing on on Retro Crush to get it to make sure people could even stream it, so the physical though, like I'm just so excited that more and more titles are coming out. And I really hope that, that hack is on the is like I have a whole list of shows that I would love to see, on like remastered, or at least, brought back out on in rotation for a Blu-ray or DVD. Um 4K if we can. But like this, that hack was always one of them. Um it's just funny because I'm from Ohio, but I live in New York now, and I had a lot of my old DVDs and stuff back in Ohio at my old family home. And then when I had to sell that house, everything went in a storage unit. I wasn't able to get everything. But a friend of mine, he I was talking to him online. He was like, I have all these like anime DVDs in my garage, and I'm gonna get rid of them. Do you want some? And he sent a list, and these were like Dot Hat. All of Dot Hat was in there. The full. I was
Oh.
like, "Are you kidding me? You don't want these?" And I don't remember why he said that. Why he was giving them away. But when I went to California for Anime Expo one year, I met up with him, and he opened his trunk, and there was just this box stuff of DVDs, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So I was really happy that now I can have it back in like as a in the collection as a physical, you know, title. Because yeah, streaming is not forever. I mean, streaming is a nice option if it's available, but yeah, now we just need that Blu-ray.
Oh my gosh, you should hear the when it releases. It'll probably be out by the time this episode releases. The episode that I have with Old Type, New Type. We talked about the legacy of Right Stuff and how it is a great and terrible time to be a physical media collector.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it's really like it's really sad how you know something like there is a very essence to Right Stuff, and there were certain things that they're very very good at that is definitely missed um by everyone who's used it as an
Mhm.
alternative for not using Amazon, and like having the hub of, like their customer service was like none other. And man, like that's a real legacy there.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Right Stuff. It's funny because the owner of Right Stuff worked with my previous boss back in the day. So when I started my first job, and I was in the office, there were boxes of DVDs from Right Stuff, like the stuff that we had. So when we had to finally, when our company got sold and we were closing our office, I saved every single one of those DVDs, as not to have them just be, lost in the void. And packaging is so good and everything, it change is hard. Change is hard.
Well, to to wrap this up, Mary, let's both write very encouraging letters to Discotheque Media and our I say our friend. I've only met him once, but and we're not friends. He doesn't know me from a can of paint. But our good friend Robert Woodhead at Animego to see if we can get dot
No, it's
back
different
sign.
now. Robert is different now. You'd want to talk to Justin Savakis.
Wait,
Robert is
he runs Animego now?
he bought Animego. Yep.
No. Does that mean
Mm-hmm.
I might get gunsmith cats?
I know they're doing like focusing a lot on like the original lineup that they had and now and a lot more and they have they're running an online store too so a lot of the discotheque titles that were on Crunchyroll are over there now. A lot of stuff that went out of stock there you can go to Animego. Justin's the parent company, Media OCD, his company. It's all connected. So yeah, definitely you'd want to check Anime Go out more because I know they're going to be I mean they're already doing it, selling a lot of stuff and getting on their newsletter.
Yeah, I saw that. I know that
Mhm.
Animego stuff was sold under Media OCD. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Oh
yep,
my
he bought it.
gosh.
So yeah, it's
I
in good hands. It's in really good hands with
that
Justin.
must have been that had to have been after I deleted Twitter. That's the only reason I would not know that.
Oh yeah, probably yeah. Because I mean they had some. I know he announced it on Twitter. Um, and I use it just for that. Like Twitter's just horrible. But
Crazy.
but but yeah, so the future I always say like to him like to Justin like the future feels bright when they're doing stuff. So um yeah, I would say like definitely head there.
Well, Mary, this has been fun.
Yeah.
If people want to follow you, are they allowed to? Can they?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I'm like I said, I'm very like all over the place. And social media is just such like a crazy space, but I would say I'm most active on Instagram. My tag is Mary AG, I think. So bad that I can't remember it.
That's funny.
I'm also on I don't use Blue Sky as much, but I am on Notes. I've been using Notes from because it's with Instagram. But yeah, I would say Instagram is the best place to catch me. Um
Oh, you're also on Threads.
Or threads. I said notes. I meant threads. Yeah. Yeah. So those two would be like the most active, I would say, for social media. Yeah. So it's Mary AG.
Well, everyone, follow Mary for knowledge and follow me for content. And until next time, take care.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, guys.